Today I want to share some insights from a coaching session I had with a client yesterday. And this video is really about the dangers of external validation in our pursuits, goals, outcome chasing. It was just interesting. So I've kind of got my journal here. I've got my Tony Robbins journal that I write in, because there were some things that I was writing down as I was discussing with her, and I knew I might not remember everything that was said. So I wanted to just kind of freestyle on it, because it's really been a big thing for me, this working on external validation and approval, because it's been an unconscious pattern of mine for pretty much my whole life, and it's still there, but it's not front and center. It's something that I'm now aware of. Before, it was something I was not aware of. And it always amuses me when people say, I don't care what people think. And I always used to be the first person to say, like, years ago, like, I do care what people think. But, like, I wouldn't say it out loud. I would never have the courage to say it, because I would feel like I would maybe get rejected, or people would care what I think. But I did care what people thought, and I still do. But it's a lot less, and it's more filtered and audited to the people that matter. Like, I care what Sati thinks, and Sage thinks, and Zen thinks. And what I think especially. That's been the key one. But a lot less what other people think. And it's having a really positive impact on my self-esteem. It's having an interesting impact on my relationships with other people. Like, some relationships are now infinitely better. So my relationship with myself, my wife and my children is infinitely better. My relationship with the people that I'm really close to is infinitely better. But there are people that it's not better. Like, there's family members, it's not better. Because I'm no longer wearing the identity of pleaser. And for a lot of people, that's confusing. Anyway, I had this coaching call with a client. They'll remain nameless. And it kind of started with talking about imposter syndrome and her needing kind of a good nudge. She was feeling like she had to push herself to do it. Specifically, she was talking about like inviting people to a coaching experience. She felt like it was forced, it was contrived. She didn't enjoy the process. And so this thing, we talk about a good nudge, right? So when we talk about like validation, approval, motivation, kind of all intertwined in this particular episode, there was a few things that I kind of wrote down, and I thought I'd just riff with you, so that you're kind of give you a bit of an insight as to how I coach. I break the rules a lot with my coaching, which is funny because I have a coach training business where it's very much about a framework and kind of colouring between the lines, but it's more aimed at coaches that are newer. And it's taken years for me to get this kind of confidence. Anyway, she talked about a good nudge, and I wrote down, and I'll talk through each one individually. I wrote down inner child, comparing versus contributing, looking out versus looking in, intrinsic versus extrinsic validation, significance versus contribution. So if we talk about inner child was the headline, because I truly believe everything stems back to childhood. Like she said, I need a good nudge. And I remember kind of asking her, and I can't remember the paraphrase, but I said, you know, where was there a time in your life where you didn't need a good nudge? And we went back to some childhood stuff. And I talked about how on the timeline of life, this concept of needing a good nudge has probably only come about because she's had a point where she was happily self-automated to make decisions and do things in flow without thinking. then she maybe at some point in her timeline did something, got negative feedback from it. So that kind of made her put the brakes on. And now she kind of was looking like, almost like, should I go? Should I not go? I kind of feel like I need a nudge to know. I feel like I need an external indicator, like validation to know, should I go or should I not go? And I said, somewhere in your timeline, you probably have had someone tell you shouldn't go. So now you've decided to outsource your nudging. That's funny. I said, you've outsourced your nudging to somebody else. And you've got to bring it back in. So when we talk about, and I talked about with her in the session yesterday about intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. And I also spoke about significance versus contribution, which is a Tony Robbins kind of concept. He's got this model called the 6 human needs. And it fundamentally is that when you're doing something and at a subconscious level, you are, most people are not even aware of this. So this is the challenge you have sometimes when you're coaching, is that if people's limiting behaviors they were aware of them, they'd be doing things, probably most people, to make changes. So my outsourcing my own validation, approval to other people has for many years been unconscious, been an unconscious pattern. And because it's been an unconscious pattern, it's meant that I didn't know what I didn't know, right? So I've just been doing it and either getting validation or not getting validation, but either way, I've just been doing the behavior without even being aware. The problem with extrinsic motivation is that the other person's validation and approval can, and invariably often does, go away. Because I found from experience that whenever I've been seeking the validation and approval of others, invariably I haven't got it for very long, because people get tired of giving people validation and approval because it's unattractive. And I don't mean like in a love romance way, it's just energetically it's unattractive. Like if you think about a person that maybe you know who is really, really like metaphorically like give me the gold star kind of thing. I've definitely been that person. Then, and I'm not judging that because I've been that. I can spot it because I've got it. I've had it and I still have it. But yeah, when you're extrinsically motivated, it can always go away because it's intrinsic. It's, forgive me for the phrase, I'm confusing you, but it's intrinsically tied into other people. Whereas when the motive is intrinsic, meaning it's done for self, and I don't mean selfishly, I mean it's done because you just want to do it because it feels like it's the right thing to do. Bringing in, looping back into the thing what Tony Robbins said about the 6 human needs, which is when you're doing something for significance, it will always be about what's in it for me and what's in it for you and what's in it for where are you going to get the gold star, versus when you do it because you just want to contribute and it's not about you. That's where it truly takes on new life. She spoke about as well, probably do a different video on this, but she spoke about imposter syndrome. My battery's running low. She spoke about imposter syndrome, and I spoke about this concept of like looking out versus looking in. So when you look out, what you'll probably find is someone is out there doing stuff that you're not doing. It doesn't matter to the ego. It doesn't matter what they're doing. If they're doing something that you're not doing, you'll all of a sudden feel incomplete. So like I went on Facebook earlier and I scrolled, and I never scroll anymore. Oh, Sage has come and say hello. Hello, Sage.
Hello, Daddy.
I'm just recording a video. There's nobody there, but well, they might be there now. But do you want to say hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, come here. Say hello.
Hello.
Give me a kiss.
Daddy.
I'll see you before bed. Okay, this is Sage, everybody. Give me a kiss. I'll see you. Tell Mummy I'll be 5 minutes. Okay. Where's your back wear? Go get a new top on.
Oh, no, because
It's your hair. Go get a new top. Welcome to the family, everybody. That's Sage. So the point I was making was, I think I forgot the point I was making. Oh yeah, when you're looking out versus looking in, there'll never really be a true sense of self when you look out. Because there'll always be someone else that's doing something that's different or better, or it's all ego. It doesn't mean anything, but to the ego, it means everything. But when you're looking in, and I mean really, really looking in, the ego energy just kind of dissipates, kind of goes away. I've probably been a meditator now for 3 years. But this past few months, I've been increasing my meditation frequency and minutes. And I've noticed a correlation between, in any given day, how much time I meditate with how much time I'm content with looking in, only comparing myself to myself, and focusing more on what am I doing to make the world better. And I've found that when you do that, you'll feel invariably enough. Tony Robbins says, progress equals happiness. And then he finishes by saying, even if you're not where you want to be yet, as long as you feel like you're on the path, you're going to love it. Progress equals happiness. Even if you're not where you want to be yet, as long as you feel like you're on the path, you're going to love it. So I've got a very good friend of mine who's really consistent with his YouTube and his podcast. And up until recently, I found myself comparing myself to him. Fundamentally, the only reason I was comparing is because I wasn't regularly showing up on YouTube. The minute I started regularly showing up on YouTube, sharing my own voice, I was like, oh. It was like the ego kind of died to that component of me, because it was like, oh, well, you're doing it now, so I've lost that battle, right? Until maybe the next battle where, I don't know, I will look at somebody else and their production of their videos is better, whatever. But it's about, that's why meditation's so powerful, because it's about rising above the thoughts and recognizing that. Greatest saying I've heard, I think, from Joe Dispenza. I listen to a particular video every day from him. He says the best lesson he's ever learned is, just because I have a thought doesn't mean it's true. Boom! Blew my mind the first time I heard him say that. Just because I have a thought doesn't mean it's true. What a profound thing to say. Amazing. Just because I have a thought doesn't mean it's true. Powerful. If you process that, think about that. That's ironic, isn't it? Think about not thinking about that. Funny. Laughing at my own jokes. That's all I got for this one. I'm going to wrap up. Could go on. There are other things, but we'll save it for next time. Hope you're enjoying these. Let me know your thoughts on this video in the thread. As always, I enjoy the comments. That's it. Peace out. See you next time. Goodbye.